Hi, thanks for joining. My name is Matt Hillier, aka Humble Bear. Welcome to Bear Chats. This is episode number one. Never done this before in my life, so yeah, and it's a great honour to be joined by a great friend of mine, brother, kind of mentor unofficially. Someone I really look up to and has really helped me since I met him. Liam Browne from with an E from Manchester. So welcome to Liam. We're going to be chatting just kind of unscripted, completely unedited, just whatever flows and whatever comes up. Really just sharing, stuff about awakening, stuff about our journey, or stuff about Liam's journey, and what he's offering, what he's putting out into this world because he's doing so much. He's probably the hardest working man I know, and he's doing some absolutely amazing things. And it's a beautiful opportunity to be able to sit here to ask him some beautiful questions about his journey and what's going on, and also to share all these activities, all these events, all these amazing kind of manifestations of a long period of work that have materialized in the world. So welcome, Liam, and thank you for joining me.
Yes,
uh,
brother. Thanks for having
yeah
me, man. Number
yeah
one, baby. Number one.
That's it. I thought that's it. When this came to me, I was mowing someone's lawn. I was like, oh, I need to do a podcast. Oh, Liam needs to be the first one. I was like, oh, beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
man. Bear
Cool.
chats. Bear chats in Manchester would mean a lot of chats.
Yes,
So
I know.
hopefully you
Yeah,
have a
same down here.
hopefully you
That's
have a
why.
lot of chats.
Yes, exactly. And it fits
Bear
in with the
chats, bro.
humble bear. Fits in with the
Yeah,
humble bear.
man. That's what I mean. When you sent it through, I was like, I like that. I like that. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, so Liam is an author. He is a yoga teacher. He is a spiritual mentor, a coach. He's a co-founder of Stone Cold Sober events, which we'll get into a bit later. He's the founder and owner of Full Power Cacao, and he's now, through his journey with cacao, which again we'll discuss, he's now, empowering other people to be doing their own cacao ceremonies. He did the same with me. Really helped me on crafting my own unique ceremonies. And he's now hosting his own cacao teacher training, which I will be attending in 2 weeks' time. To up level myself, like it's always this up leveling, this empowerment, this evolving, and I feel really really blessed and grateful to have witnessed, especially the last 18 months of your journey and how you've come from like strength to strength. I had the pleasure of listening to your book, Dealer to Healer, which is a fantastic book. We'll get into some of like your where you came from and stuff, but for anyone who's not read it or not listened to it, you can buy it. Or you can listen to it. I listened to it on Audible, so I literally listened to Liam's voice for 15 hours before I met him.
Could be
So much
better.
so that I was thinking in his voice, which was really odd. But
And
yeah,
dreaming in my voice.
uh,
Dreaming in my
yeah,
voice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I just love how you've always been empowering people, and this new, you've been doing it for the teacher training for almost a year now, but this way of empowering people to empowering people to empower other people. It's like so, it's just so beautiful, so beautiful. So I
Just
really wanted to,
it gets my work done quicker. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
there's
and
only
yeah,
one of
and
me in human form, and it's like it's not my work, it's the divine's work, it's the 5D consciousness upgrade, and it's the work of preparing people for that. And the more people we can do preparing more people from that and giving the knowledge and giving the wisdom, then the quicker it happens and the more people we take through with us. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, and even I mean, like I said, we get back into it later. But even off the back of this training, you've now got a group of graduates and also a group of affiliates for the Full Pack Cacao. So we're spreading this beautiful medicine. I've got a cup of Full Pack Cacao here. Because I love it. It's probably the nicest cacao. There you go, the nicest cacao I've tasted, and you know, we even took it on tour. Again, we'll get into that later. We took it on tour for a month, which was a magical experience. So,
yeah,
but to start with, I just really wanted just give you to share for you to share, your experience, your life experience before awakening. Because I think it's really important for people to understand that for a lot of us spiritual people, people might be early on this journey. We didn't we weren't born yoga teachers, we didn't drop into this earth and go, oh yeah, I'm all happy, and you're a very upbeat and positive person. But I know personally, it's not always that way, and there are troubles and strives to go through. So really, for like identification purposes, for just to make it all human, let's face it. I really just want you to understand, and let's not spoil your book too much for those who are going to go away and buy it and download it, but just how it was for you growing up, what it was that started this journey and this awakening, and your journey, your journey into this spiritual realm, really.
So firstly, it's a blessing that we were born into the lives that we were, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to be doing the work that we are doing. If we'd been born into a family wearing loincloths and praying and meditating from an early age, then who the fuck could have related to us? Do you know what I mean? It would have been like, well, how can I relate to this person? But then a lot of people even look at me now and go, how can I relate to him? But they don't know the backstory. Do you know what I mean? So the backstory is just kind of like growing up in typically dysfunctional, violent. Well, I guess it is kind of typical, isn't it? It's what the consciousness was going through in the sort of 80s and 90s, where it was still legal to rape your wife in the 80s. It's like, what? How the fuck was that legal? Do you know what I mean? And that was like when we were born, and I think it was like 93 where that became illegal. It's like, what? But just being born into that, Irish dad, brought up with a lot of violence, brought up in total squalor in Dublin in the 40s and 50s, totally lack mentality, obviously lived in England, violent. Seemed a lot of Irish blokes were violent to their wives. There must have been something in the collective consciousness and energy in that thing, and just to witness things that you wouldn't really want your kids to witness. Obviously then going into a battered wives institute with my mum, moving into a council estate, getting a council house, blagging a council house by pretending a brother was a fella. Otherwise, we would have got put in a flats full of crackheads, and she didn't really want that. So kind of moved to this council estate and was in sort of like the madness of that for a few years, and then mum goes into another dysfunctional relationship, but with a guy who's a lot, quite, not well off. He's not well off. He's a worker. He's just a worker. Do you know what I mean? 50 grand a year, back then 40 grand a year was a bit of money. Lived in a nicer area. We moved into that, but as equally abusive, but on a psychological way, and just there was this hatred, and but people don't ever listen to my story and think I'm feeling sorry for myself. It was all a blessing. It was all perfect. I learned a lot from him as well. That's a lot of my strictness in my teachings comes from him as well. I don't agree with a lot of the ways that he parented, but there was elements that I really kind of admired in a way. There was a strictness, and he was like, don't do that. That's bang bump. And you've seen the way I teach. It's like, don't, we do loads of fucking about, but let's do it when we've done the work first. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place, and it's trying to navigate that. So yeah, just brought up feeling shit most of the time. Do you know what I mean? Every day, just not feeling not part of this family that I lived with, and just like not wanting to be there, but then wanting to be around my mum because there was a deep love and a deep connection for my mother. And then just normal stuff at school. I was in trouble all the time. Things were either too easy for me or I didn't want to do them. Didn't connect with authority and people telling me what I can and can't do. Looking back now, I know it's a government indoctrination camp, and I'm trying to cleanse a lot of the stuff that was programmed into me from those encounters at school. But obviously, you have a lot of fun as well. Fucked about a lot, got in a lot of trouble, and then just playing football, tons of football. I was obsessed with football. Then I was obsessed with girls. Started doing a bit of acting. Obviously got called a faggot for doing that by everyone at football, because you're obviously gay if you're an actor, which is not the case. I don't even think, obviously these gay actors, there's gay everything, but yeah, it was just this assumption that I was, a shirt lifter because I was doing a bit of acting. But that was just banter. I never got offended by that. It was just because I knew I wasn't gay anyway. And actually, a lot of the time I wished I was gay, because I would have flaunted it. Do you know what I mean? I had the confidence. I was just like, I wish I was gay so I could just like rub up against you, and do you know what I mean? Make you feel really uncomfortable, because actually what you're saying is from your uncomfortableness and just from your programming, really. Like, nobody's really homophobic, transphobic, racist in their essence. Do you know what I mean? It's just learned behaviors. And as we move into the 5D, we know that we're all one, and it's just people just let them be whatever they want to be, as long as it's not being pushed onto you and it becomes like an agenda or something. But yeah, and then obviously then started going out with my mates, big lager, football culture, played football Saturday, Sunday, trained in the week, drank all the time, everything revolved around the pub. There wasn't really much else that you did with your mates. You just went to the pub and got in mischief. But then I guess I always had that kind of like little out of acting where I didn't fully commit to it, but it was always there. So I was meeting different kinds of people than the norm of what I'd been brought up with. Everyone was sort of similar, kind of, they box themselves into this kind of postage stamp of how you should behave. Do you know what I mean? It's like you get a trade, or you get another little job, and you play football, and then you get a wife, and then you're probably going to knock her up, get a mortgage, buy a house, and hopefully progress and get a bigger house. And I was just like, sounds like dog shit life to me. I remember being like 18, I was like, fuck 9 to 5. Like, I don't ever want to drive the same route every day for more than like a few days. Do you know what I mean? So it was like this early doors, I was just kind of like going, there's something not right about what they want us to do and what's expected of us. So in a way, I was blessed to sort of see, I was always could see outside the box in a way. And I didn't really understand it at an early age, but I could see a wider perspective of things, and like thought some things were just not right, and in society and the way we thought about things, you know, totally brought up in a homophobic, xenophobic, racist, sexist environment. That's what my stepdad was. It was like every time England played football, there was a reason to hate that country. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and then I'd go to that country traveling, and I'd be like, oh, they're all right. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's not true. So it was just kind of, again, purging all that bullshit growing up, and then moved to London. I was acting, was modeling, was making films, was going to university, started selling drugs, because I was just like, what, you're paying how much for them in London? I'll get the train to Manchester and I can get them for half of that price and still make a lot of money. So yeah, then that became my thing in London, really, kind of to pay for uni, because I didn't get any support of my parents or my stepdad, and yeah, I was like abundant at uni. Well, I was abundant, but I was still in a lack mentality program from my father, where I was tight. Do you know what I mean? I was always like, this money, it was like holding on to it. Other than fivers, I'd give to my German girlfriend, because I didn't like fivers at the time, and I used to get a shitload of them. I was like, just have the fivers. So she loved it. She got free drugs and free fivers. But yeah, and then obviously, then that lifestyle of going out clubbing, I was in Fabric all the time, I was selling drugs, I was having a good time, but then it sort of catches up with you, and you just like look like shit, feel like shit. Moved to London and I was modeling. I was like, fucking no, you know what I mean? I just was a bit of a mess. But uni, I had a great time. I had a great set of mates. Went traveling every summer. Went to festivals. You know, selling drugs at festivals in Europe, making shitloads of money. But yeah, it was just like in that merry-go-round of just having a good time and not really, just fun, really. I didn't really, there was a few little things that were cropping up in life that I didn't feel right about, or were just kind of waking me up a little bit, like sustainability and looking after the planet and the environment and nature, and sort of, again, observing at university, like seeing outside the box and going, oh, people are just believing this shit and are at uni to get a job. They're not doing this course because they want to. They're doing this course because they think they'll get a job at the end of it in something that they don't necessarily want to do. So I'd just be like, and then you'd get told how this whole industry, because I did like a construction degree, how this old industry was bent and was like totally kind of mafia run. It was, everything was overtime, over schedule, over cost, and it was like corrupt as fuck. And they tell you this, and everyone just be like nodding, and I'd be like, "What? You want to go and work in this, guys?
Yeah.
Did you hear what he just said?" Like, and everyone's just like, so I was like, oh, okay, there's this sheep mentality that I was becoming aware of just people going, yeah, just programmed, totally programmed. And then when I look back, I wasn't aware of that people were programmed, but now I know that I was observing the programming, which was awesome that I had the perspective to be able to sit back and see it.
Yeah, especially, I'm only becoming aware of that over the last 2 years. When I
Yeah,
look at my life, like I spent most of my life up until probably, yeah, 2 years ago, like that, like the other people that you were witnessing, just doing what, I mean, we had a very, very different upbringing, but just doing what I was told I needed to do, like literally the tick list you gave, that was me plodding through life. So,
yeah. So I kind of got through life determined not to do any of those things. Do you know what I mean? Which was, in a way, it that kind of was what spurred on some depression, because you struggle a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you haven't got the constant flow of income. You haven't got sort of foundations and support. When the biggest thing that happened in my life was my mum dying in 2007, and then all foundations disappeared. There was nothing. It was like, it's not like I'm from a tight family. Like if one of your parents died, the other one's quite, you know what I mean,
yeah,
very foundational as well. You'd still have that kind of, you'd have the family home, you'd have the, the beacon of something to go back to, some sort of level of support. Mine just boom, gone. I
yeah.
was just like, whoa, it was almost like I'd got unplugged from the matrix, just floating through. And I was just like, what the fuck do I do now? But looking back, it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. And I'm blessed that my mum passed at that time, because although I went through so much suffering, it's like that level of suffering and that depths of despair is what catapults you furthest into the light. And, hopefully I've been through all my suffering. Maybe there's some more, but I don't know if there is more, that it's going to be something that's going to propel me even further on my journey and on my path
Mm.
and in my
It's,
life. But yeah,
and it's this perspective shift of that suffering's bad. I was talking to someone about this the other day. Suffering's not a bad thing. Like, in my journey, my suffering is the best thing that's ever happened to me,
yeah.
which seems insane, but that's so true.
And it is. And I think this 5D reality as well, it's like, okay, you know what I'm like when someone tells me about their suffering, and I'm like, yes, good, good. I'm like, yes, cheering on the suffering, because you need to do the suffering, get rid of the story of it. Like I'm talking to you about my suffering, but I'm not feeling feel sorry for me. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
total ownership of it. It's a fucking good thing, because it's catapulted me into the 5D. So it's like, people, yeah, do your suffering, good, 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 breakdown, reach rock bottom, so you can propel into
yeah.
your greatest version of yourself.
And it's this awareness that you're putting to it, that is a good for listeners, good for me, that I try and do in my life as well. Is that these past events, they're just like situations that we were in, and they're not who we are. They're just stories. But it's understanding and being grateful for the energy and the situations that have brought us to exactly where we are today. So it's switching that perspective. It's like, oh, what seemed like the most darkest, horriblest, like dismal time of our lives was like, oh, actually, that's what propelled me to the next level. Getting through that.
Yeah, that's what it's what the Dalai Lama says about, who was the what was the chief of the Chinese military that came into Tibet and, like, started shooting them up. Might have been
Mao,
Mao, I'm not
Mao,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe it was Mao.
Mao.
And he basically, and obviously that the famous picture of the Tibetan monk setting himself on fire and just being totally in bliss,
Hmm.
in samadhi while he was on fire. And that changed a lot of perspectives in the West of being like, what, somebody can do that? Because obviously our perspective is, if we're on fire, we scream, search for water. He was like sacrificing his body, knowing the truth that he is just a soul and he will pass into something else. It's just like, it was a symbol. But then what the Dalai Lama says, which is super interesting about Mao, is that Mao is the Buddha in disguise, in drag.
Yeah,
And that's because Mao got rid of them for Tibet. Obviously then the world looked on Buddhism as it spread throughout the globe so quickly, like wildfire, wildfire. And that's what, so from that darkness and that suffering, you know, which a lot of Tibetan people suffered, but actually it allowed Buddhism to blossom. And, you know, and people go, oh, but what about those? And it's like, no, when you realize it's just the soul, so actually your sacrifice is propelling something towards, you know, greater consciousness, like what's going on in the world the last couple of years. It's like, it's beautiful. It's so perfect, actually. And people are like, yeah, but people have died. People always die. That's your life. That's going to happen to everybody. It's not a surprise. Do you know what I mean? It's like someone telling me that a soldier's been killed. It's like a fireman getting burnt, isn't it? It's not a fucking surprise. It's your job. You know what I mean? It's like me overstretching my hamstring in yoga. Yeah, I'm a yoga teacher. I might do that.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's interesting you said about wildfire. You know, when we look at wildfire, we look at forest fires in places like Australia and America and, you know, the places that get a lot of wildfires. What's created from them? You know, once that forest burns down, that ash, that charred, you know, those charred lands are so fertile.
Yeah.
They're so fertile, and they you know, what blossoms from them, what grows from them is like magical.
And they need it as well, because there's many seeds in those forests that can only be germinated through a certain high temperature. So it's like it needs to happen. It's part of the cycle of nature in those areas. But obviously, because these humans live in there, it's like, ah!
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently, some of them are actually done on purpose as well.
Some of them maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we got to like your mum dying and your life changing, and then you know, this catapulting you into this kind of being much more aware of and spiritually.
Yeah, I think my mum dying was the catalyst, really, because it kind of made me go, well, where is she? I still feel this energy. And I was a total atheist at the time, didn't believe in any of that shit, but it was like, wait, so actually my mum wasn't a drinker. My mum was teetotal, and I saw my mum drunk once in my life. That was on a New Year's Eve, and she'd probably had one glass of champagne, and she just kind of put me to bed and like stumbled out of the room. And I was like thinking it was weird, do you know what I mean? I was like, what? Whereas you think most kids have seen their mum and dads, especially in the UK, pissed. It's so immature, it's so irresponsible that people get in those sort of states with children around, you know.
Yeah. Oh, we've lost you. Liam, are you there?
You got me there, bro.
You're back.
Where was I?
About being irresponsible, getting into the States.
Yeah. So that was the only time I saw my mum like that in an altered state. And because we'd go to parties and my mum would be like dancing or doing something mad, making some like over the other side of the bar or something. And my mates would go, your mum's levered, look at her. I'd be like, she don't drink. She drinks Britvic 55s, man. Like, that's what was a drink. And then they'd go over and I was like, look, that's a drink. Be like, no. I'm like, no, that's true. So yeah, it was I guess, you know, losing her, yeah, was definitely the major catalyst, the major shift in me sort of looking at my life, because it was the first time where I felt like I was being watched by something greater than myself, being the consciousness or the energy or whatever my mum's essence was, which I didn't believe in, but I was thinking about and feeling. So it kind of made me want to clean up my life, but then it was just kind of back and forth with what made me happy, with selling drugs, with stopping selling drugs, because I thought my mum was seeing me stopping, you know, lying and cheating as much. And then it was just a process. But, you know, then the next big thing was getting arrested, thinking I was going to prison. That made me clean another part of me out, made me do the 12-step program, which was a total game changer for me in my life. About taking responsibility, seeing that I was the constant in all my issues and all my problems. You know what I mean? It was always me. I was always there. You know. But I always wanted to blame everyone. I had a working class chip on my shoulder. I had, you know, a football chip on my shoulder, a Mancunian chip on my shoulder, and nothing was my fault. It was always someone else's fault. So that 12-step program just was just, yeah, it was just a cognitive like dream. It was just like such a cleanup, such a massive shift and change in me. And it was, you know, it was hard, man. It was hard getting down on my knees doing something that I thought was bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I had the same experience, you know, as you know, and as many people who know me, and that, well, for those who don't know me, you know, that was my beginning of my journey was going through the 12 steps in a fellowship, and you know they say in there that, you know, by the time you get to step 12, you would have had a spiritual awakening, which they define as a change in thinking, as a
yeah,
change in the way we think and the way we process. And it's true, like, you know, and like you said, like, you know, I remember being told to go and pray and meditate, and I was like, what? Why would I do? You know, I don't want to do that. And they're like, mate, look at the state of you. Like, what have you got to lose?
exactly,
Like,
exactly. Yeah,
you've been crying every day for a week, like, you're in an institution where you've been removed from society. Like,
yeah,
what more do you want? And it was like, okay, you know, but when, you know, I started doing it and I started feeling the changes, you know, and like you
yeah,
said, like, I started being honest, and you know, I didn't necessarily steal or anything like that, but you know, a lot of it was honesty with myself and those around me as well. Um, and yeah, but just changing that, and you know, it's funny how it affects us, because I was finding myself in situations where I'd say something dishonest, and then I'd walk away, and then I go, and I'd go back and go, yeah, that wasn't true.
yeah. But then you realize how many lies you tell. Like you was
Yeah.
just like, what the what? And then you realize you see people and you know everybody, like everyone you grew up with lies. Like everyone lies. It's like, oh yeah, but it's just a little fib. It's like, yeah, but it's a lie. It's not true. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, stop making the excuses. It's like, you know, and when you start picking yourself up like that, it's so embarrassing that you go, oh, I've got to stop doing it. And
Yeah,
it took me a good year, man, to stop it.
yeah,
And that doesn't mean you always have to tell the truth. You can say no comment. If someone asks you a question, you can say, I don't want to answer that,
yeah,
but don't make up a story that isn't true. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, and like you said, it's a process. It's a process of understanding when that truth is to be told. You know,
Yeah,
understand. You know, because when I first started on it, I was like, all right, I'm going to be absolutely honest and truthful and tell everyone everything. And it's like that could, in some situations, that was as damaging. And
yeah,
also, what I understood as my truth wasn't always other people's truths. And also, what when I was, you know, and I hear it a lot now, and a lot of people who are waking up now, and it's like, oh, I'm standing in my truth, and it's like I'm just speaking my truth. It's like, no, you're not. You're speaking your anger, you know,
yeah, yeah,
and it's that, but it's that getting that balance of, you know, I mean, we both study the yamas and niyamas of yoga, and the philosophy of yoga, and it's that balance between ahimsa, which is non-violence, and truthfulness, you know, and it's like, you know, can I be truthful without harming others, you know?
yeah, yeah. And then that's, you know, it's like when people tell the story, it's, you know, I see so many people tell their stories like we've just been, you know, telling a bit of ours, and they're still experiencing it and they're
Mhm.
still feeling it and they've not processed it. And it's like you're telling a story to get sympathy, to get people feel sorry for you, to put an arm around you. Whereas I want to tell my story and someone go, yes, bro,
Yeah.
boom. But it's like, yeah, man, check that out. Go what I come through. And it's like total ownership of it. There's never once where you'll see, have you ever seen me tell a story where I've been like wanting you to feel sorry for me?
No.
But a lot of people tell it and they've not processed it. So it's like, it's still happening. Stop telling your story because it's hurting you every time you tell it. Do you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
you know when someone tells you a story about something, and you're like, oh fuck, you still, I can feel that. You're still experiencing that. Either stop telling it or really go and look at it and see where you can clear it up and get ownership of it.
Yeah. And even that's a process, you know, it takes someone, and that's why I love the way you teach, because you've been there, you've been through that, you've been through the stages, through that process of letting go of that, you know, and being able to see it and being able to point it out to people. Because a lot of us will sit in the story, but we don't even know it. We don't even know that's how our ego, our mind is working, and we're still uh, unconsciously replaying those situations and those stories in order to get some kind of gratification, you know, some external gratification, you know, whether that be sympathy, whether that be whatever, you know. But it's having someone who is courageous enough to just be like, and I've seen you do it, you know, loads of times. You know, just say to someone, "Well, that's a great story, but you know, you're still there, you're still in that situation. Like, when are you gonna? What? You know, it's like, yeah, great, the past happened, and it's, you know, that's cool, but the only place that exists is in here, right? The only place the past ever exists is in our mind, and it's like, so what are you doing now?
Yeah, exactly. And if you sit back at any single moment that's ever happened in your life, and you were to just go inside and go, no, if you go deep enough, everything's all right.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. It's all
It's like,
divine. It's all like, you know, like if we take it
even
back
if
to,
even if just someone's beating you in the face and you're getting killed, if you just could take a moment and just go inside, it's like, okay,
yeah,
everything's good actually.
yeah,
It's like,
and yeah, and it's like, I like there's a quote in the, for anyone who's not been to fellowships, not read the big book of AA, and there's one line in it that says, either God is everything or God is nothing. And God is just if you're not religious, it's just a term for a higher power, right? So if you think about everything, you know, it's almost saying like, either everything is divine or nothing's divine. You can't just pick and choose and went, well, yeah, that is, but that
yeah,
over there isn't, because I don't like it. It's like
yeah,
everything is this play, you know, it's all perfect. When I look back at my life, it's like everything was perfect.
yeah. Perfect for the journey that you're on, and everybody's is, and that's you know, that's why I talk about ownership so much, because everything's been perfect. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Like, someone's had it worse than you, someone's had it better than you. You know, when I was growing up, I always was like, you know, why are my parents like? Why have I got? Because I always felt like quite intelligent and I could get by. Do you know what I mean? And I had girlfriends whose like parents were lecturers and stuff, and I'd be like, fuck, imagine how intelligent I'd be if my parents were lecturers and stuff. And you know, my dad's just a fucking Irish tinker, he's a thief. But then now I go, actually, it was perfect. And I'm so grateful for my dad. Like, I love my dad so much. And people read my book and go, what's your relationship with like your dad? And like, it's great. I fucking love him to bits. He's an amazing human. He's like
Mhm.
got loads of flaws. What a beautiful thing to see growing up, to go, I don't like that. I don't want to be like that. I like a bit of that. Like, you know, my humor comes from him.
Yeah,
My not being part of society and wanting something a little bit different and being able to duck and dive a little bit comes from him. There's so many great qualities that I've
yeah,
got from him. Um, so now I'm like, thanks for the
yeah.
parents that I was given. Thanks for my stepdad that, you know, taught me so much as well. It was kind of it was all perfect and all in the alchemy of making me into the person, you know, the person that I've become.
Yeah. And I love that, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but you know, last year you wrote your dad a Father's Day card, and
Yeah,
you meant, when you wrote it, you actually thanked him. You know,
yeah.
honestly, heartfelt thanked him for the lessons he taught you.
Yeah. And I said that in the card, but I didn't say anything about the bad stuff because I don't want him to feel bad. He's, you know, and I've never had the conversation with him about that.
Yeah,
But I actually wrote that in, and it was, I meant it, because, and that was you know, we have these aha moments and breakthroughs, and they keep coming. And sometimes you get on your spiritual path, and you've been on it 7 years or 5 years, and you're like, oh, where's the magic gone? But you've got to look out for it, because that
yeah,
was a moment of magic for me. When I wrote that card, it was like, ah, wow,
yeah.
how beautiful, because that is the truth.
Mm.
Everything that he did, the violence, everything, you know, because there was moments when I was growing up and I thought, what if I'm violent towards women? And I was like, really having to work on not being violent, you
Mm.
know, because it was in me. It's in us all.
Yeah.
Violence is within us all. Everything's within us all, because we are everything.
Mm.
So it was like, okay. And then maybe if I hadn't had that dad, and I'd been born with some energy of violence, and my dad had been soft, maybe I then would have been violent, because it would have just been like, well, this is who I am, rather than like this determination to not be like my dad in that respect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful. And these lessons, you know, these teachings, you know, everyone's our teacher, right? Everyone's you know,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, some people like fob off people who've done them wrong, and it's like, actually there might be something there that if you explored it, it could have a massive impact on your path. But yeah, you know, there's teachings and lessons in the strangest of places, but it's like just being open to them and open to receive. And you know, most people I know who are 40, they think they've known it all for 15 years. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and like I say to people, I don't know nothing. I'm just learning as you are, but I might know a little bit more than you at this moment, and hopefully I can imbue that onto you and help you in your path. But then it's like the teacher mantra, Om se now bunaktul se now bunaktul se virium karavava he te jasvina ditamastu avidvisvava he. It's this mantra between the student and the teacher, and knowing that by teaching, the student is being your teacher at the same time, and your wealth and your knowledge is increasing, your relationship and your connection is increasing. Be kind and be courteous towards each other. Don't have this hierarchical thing. You're just a teacher and a student, you know.
Yeah.
Like I say to you, I encourage my students to go beyond me, and hopefully I can teach stuff from them. Like, you know, you teach me, I've taught me loads of stuff. Paul Mackinson teaches me loads of stuff. A lot of these people and students of mine teach me things, you know what I mean? And I'm grateful for that, and I'm open to that. So yeah,
And it's
beautiful.
the saying that goes, you know, the teacher and the student are the teaching. You know,
Yeah,
they're part of it. And it's like when I'm coaching or when I'm, you know, mentoring someone, it's like sometimes I say things and I'm like, I've never heard that before in my life. Like I got to write that down. Like that's golden, you know, and it's teaching me, or they're reflecting something back to me and I'm like, wow, I didn't even see that. You know, it's magical. It's magical. So
yeah,
yeah, so you know you've gone through this and you've gone through that. You maybe started to realize this stuff, and then you know you kind of like you're waking up to this thing, and then you went on this journey.
yeah, yeah. From that 12-step thing, I moved back to Manchester. It was kind of like, you know, when you hear a lot of these spiritual teachers and they kind of go back to their mum and dads for a couple of years, or yeah, man, or like, you know, Muji went back to his sisters because his son had died, he was depressed, he was suicidal, and that was, looking back now, that was my moment in that, where I never thought I'd be back in Manchester. I was living with my stepdad. I couldn't stand him, but it was the only place that felt like a little bit of home. Do you know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
and I needed to just refresh. I was totally lost. I had all these different things going on, interest in sustainability, in wellness, in construction, in acting, and I just, and he felt totally scattered. And he probably felt totally scattered until about 2.5 years ago, maybe. And then they all sort of started coming together. You know what I mean? The writing, my poetry, the music, it all started coming together. I could speak. The first woman called Andrea Everingham, who the first ever Jiva Mukti yoga class that I went to in Manchester, and I seen her the other day, and I hadn't seen her for about 3 years, and she was just like, "Wow," she went, "It's just all come together for you, hasn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I'd come to go to her class sometimes, and she's like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Liam's not here at the moment." I was fucked, but I'd still
Yeah.
kept going to the classes. Do you know what I mean? I was like, something was making, like, you need to go and practice yoga, you need to cleanse, you need to purify. You know, my consciousness was shifting, loads of things shifted through the yoga practice, and really battering my body. And you know, when people say what happens is through yoga you expand your consciousness in your mind and you purify your soul, but as a consequence of it, you get a beautiful body.
Yeah.
And you know, at that time I did, and it was like, but actually you the purpose of the yogic practice is to get a beautiful soul and a beautiful mind and reconnect to your essence and
Mm.
clear away the debris within you, that, you know, it moves prana around the body and it starts shifting things and changing things, and consciousness starts expanding. So I was just chatting to her, to go back to what my point was before I go off on a mad tangent, and she was just saying, look how it's all come
Yeah.
together. You were so disjointed and like not knowing where to go. And I don't really think, yeah, sometimes I go, what avenue should I go down? But everything, my life's fucking incredible. You know what I mean? Now, at the moment, it could change, but I can't see it changing because everything's incredible. Even if it gets shit, even if my company just like got taken away, it'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Let's appreciate that. Let's enjoy that. You know what I mean? And then go, Some's got to be a beautiful teaching in there somewhere that I can learn from. I can catapult and propel,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
to another.
And I've been honored to witness how divinely orchestrated that coming together has been. Through not from the very beginning, but for the last 18 months, how everything's kind of just dropped into place. When we get
Yeah,
onto some of those bits in a minute, but or in a bit, but it's just been wonderful, and just how you've surrendered to it. It's just been like, oh, okay, what's happening now? Oh, okay, let's go with this. It's like that feels good. Oh, okay, yeah, let's go with that. And it's like it almost reminds me a little bit. If you've ever read Michael Singer's The Surrender Experiment, where he spends his whole life just surrendering to, okay, what's coming in, and I'll do that. It's very similar. What I've witnessed over the last 18 months with you, it's like all these things dropping in. Whether it be with the Stone Cold Sober stuff, whether it be with the full fat cacao stuff, whatever it might be. All these bits just dropping in, and being able to change, to flow with it, and just be like, okay, well that this is the way the path's going. Let's go and see what that is. It's been beautiful, and
yeah,
it's
it's been
the
amazing.
credit to all the work you've done.
Yeah, totally. And it's that thing of like, even with the cacao, it was an idea many years ago to have the own thing, and it's like about not being in a rush. It's
Mm.
like that'll happen when the time's right. At that time, it wasn't right, and it's something that so many people are in a rush
Yeah,
to do this, to do that, whatever it is, and it's like just enjoy the journey, man.
yeah,
Don't like force something,
yeah,
because actually if you really force something, you're gonna snap it. Even the yoga practice in itself talks about that. It's like if you push, you can expand your edges, but don't fucking break them, because you're gonna
yeah,
break
yeah,
yourself. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean? So it's like just take your time, and that's what's happened. Like once something kicks in for me, yeah, I go for it full throttle, but I don't have an idea and go, right, I've got to do this now, everything else is out the window, which some people do.
yeah,
I see it with people, and I'm like, you're just burning out, and even those years leading up to 2020, like I've told you, and even just talking now, I'm like, oh, my fucking next book's gonna be sick, in it. Like, I've had another good 10 years, because my book, The Deal as a Healer, finished 10 years ago. It
yeah,
was finished
yeah,
in 2013. So yeah, nearly 10 years.
yeah.
And I was like, fuck, a lot of stuff's happened in that time. And in 2020, I was in a Sikh temple in Barcelona with not a penny to my name,
Mm,
not a penny to my name,
mm,
and eating food, giving a donation of what I could, you know what I mean? Just like 50 cents or something, just a minimal amount. And next time I am in Barcelona, they will be getting a big chunk of money
mm.
put in their little thing, and again, a big chunk of money, but a lot of people, they need to go and get the picture taken, putting the big chunk of money in there so they can share it on. It's like, no, just fucking do that shit. You know what I mean? Just, you don't need a picture taken of it, because
Yeah,
what you're trying to make people know that you're kind.
yeah,
Actually, if you need to tell people that, it's getting the energy right. Do you know what I mean? Like when
yeah.
you pay for someone's shopping at the till in Asda or wherever you are, you don't need to go and shout about it.
No.
Just do it. Be humble. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
tell your
Yeah.
missus because it made you happy. You know what I
That's
mean?
something, yeah, and that's something I used to actually practice this. I used to go and give someone something or do something for someone and tell no one.
Mm.
Whether that be helping someone, or whether they knew or not, or tucking a note under a homeless person's where they're sleeping, just tucking a note in and then telling no. And then sometimes it's the hardest thing in the world is to tell
Yeah,
no one.
it's
Like, be
fucking
like, oh, because the
hard.
ego wants to be like, yeah, yeah. Did you guess what I did today? Oh, I did this, and it's like, no, I'm not doing that, because it defeats the object of giving unconditionally. It's like, because as soon as you tell someone for some kind of gratitude, it's like, well, that wasn't unconditional, because I've now, I've tried to get something back from it, kind of thing.
Yeah, so that yeah, it's just beautiful, because obviously, my ego's massive, but I can use that and play with that, and play with that confidence, and like take the
Mm,
piss out of it in a way.
mm.
Because I did an event last week, and do you know what I'm like when I first get into somewhere and I'm on stage, and
Yeah,
like I'm just being cocky and being a Mancunian, and just some people's faces are like this, And I'm like, all right. I was like, there's at least 30 people in here that hate me right now.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's brilliant. And then like P was even saying, she was like, oh yeah, she went, the tension towards you was like intense. And then obviously then we talk a little bit and they still hate me. And then we go into like the mantra and the meditation, and it's like a new person. Do you know what I mean? And that's, I think can't remember who I was talking. I don't know if I was thinking it today, but I was thinking the way people see me and the way I talk on social media, or the way I talk in interviews and shit, and totally different from when I'm doing my work. When I go into holding that space, it's a different human being. Like it's a shift. Do you know what I mean? And it's when I settle into that I can change a whole room within 20 seconds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like, but that again, that's something that I've developed over time, and something that I've become aware of as I've taught more people. It's as if my skills have upgraded just because I've done that. It's like, okay, the universe has gone, we want you to expand. I've expanded, and they go, here's some presents.
Yeah, definitely.
For expanding, and just being aware of them in the last couple of years has been incredible. But that way of shifting a space like super quickly and getting people to drop in after you've just cracked a joke or said something ridiculous, you know what I mean? And it's like, boom, for now, let's drop them in. And of that, what all that also that does to the mind is, it's like, oh, where should I be right now? Because I was hating him a minute ago, but he's dropped me here. I judged him.
Yeah.
I was totally in a place of judgment.
Yeah.
And we all do it. And
yeah, of course.
But it lessens as we're going along, because we know there could be a gem there for us if you're kind of a bit further along on your path. So what was my point here?
I'm not sure. But we were getting onto your journey, and you've gone through this awakening. You've gone through the 12 steps. You've gone back home, and you're starting to get into spirituality, and what I've learned is that you then go on this journey, and it's in your book, of how you travel, and it leads on to a lot of the stuff you're doing now. A lot of the stuff you're doing with cacao, and it's such kind of like a magical. So give us a little bit of an insight into that without spoiling the book too much, because
so just quickly to get me to Guatemala. So I ended up, obviously, I didn't go to prison.
Yeah,
I was a lager drinking, womanizing, drug taking person in early 2012. But I was starting to want to make changes. I was feeling depressed and stuff. Early 2012, 2011. And then go back to Manchester, 2012. My best friends moved back into her family home. So it's like we're both doing the same thing at the same time. And she's starting seeing angels and demons. Basically, I've then done the 12th step with her, not consciously, but had a spiritual awakening, a big shift, accepted it, got into it, gone to these healing things. But I am totally not having any of it, mate. I'm so skeptical. I'm judging everybody. I'm like, this is bullshit, that's bullshit. But then things would start dropping in. And anyway, synchronicities started happening, and I end up in Guatemala for the End of the Mind calendar on a spiritual pilgrimage with a load of healers and crazy people, and basically go on this journey, go into all these sacred sites, learning the truth about all the Mayan prophecies, all over the world, pointing at 2012 as the cosmic moment. And I was buzzing because, like, I was partying till 2011. I was like, okay, now I've got to take things seriously. I'm like in South America, where I always wanted to go to and snort pure cocaine. And now I'm there, and I'm like, I don't do drugs. Do you know what I mean? I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I was totally clean. And I was there to do ayahuasca. And obviously through going to Guatemala, doing the pilgrimages, seeing, that trip planted so many seeds for what I'm doing, and so many people that I'd met, that when I look back, it's like, that comes from actually that meeting. You know what I mean? And it's so many different things. And then just being like committed to either committing suicide or finding my path on this journey, and doing the ayahuasca, first discovering the cacao with Keith the shaman in Lake Atitlan, and then traveling through Mexico into Taos, building earthships, going to do the ayahuasca, and thinking that I was repaired. Do you know what I mean? But then it was quite a few more years after coming back, still not being abundant financially, struggling, still being depressed, still wanting to kill myself, but kind of feeling like I had more of a something I was going towards. It felt like it was, you know, the book as well. It was like I've got to finish this book and I've got to get it published, and I didn't get it published until 2019, and maybe my life would have been better if I'd got it published earlier, but then I wouldn't have experienced all the things, you know, going and doing my yoga teacher training, starting the cacao ceremonies, doing the cacao, sort of just evolving that through trial and error over the years, and just how it, you know, in 2020, it just went boom, just blew up for me. It was crazy, man. It was like, wow, okay, we'll go this way now. And then it's just been Dumph, and then Stone Cold Sober, Dumph, and the full Power Cacao, and it's like, boom, full Power Cacao teacher training. And it's like, wow, you know. And when people look at me, they're like, oh, Liam's super successful, but then, you know, they don't see the graft that I've put into everything over the last, you know, I'm a grafter, man. Luckily, I'm a grafter. I've always worked. You know, people, oh, he went to uni, he's done this, he's an actor. Fucking always worked on building sites, and I always done grafting jobs, carpentry, window fitting, like tree surgery. You know, my mate is a tree surgeon. He's like, it's shit that I have to replace you because nobody will ever work as hard as you, because I just want to smash it out and go home. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, let's go. And you see, I smash everything. And I'm trying to slow down now because I'm 40 a little bit, but it's like that work ethic now put into something that is that feels like what I should be doing. And even my mate, the tree surgeon, he was just like, you know, you should be teaching yoga to more people. He said, I see you on a beach, and you know, but I'm in Manchester. This is the place that I feels energetically that I've got to be. That's kind of like the things seem to like take off when I'm here. So I'm staying here for a little while, moving out into the countryside this year, but not far from Manchester.
So and you know, you touched on a few of your kind of like call them enterprises or companies or like manifestations or whatever you want to call them. And, you know, these are beautiful things that have been birthed into the world. You know, to start with, I mean, you're obviously hosting cacao ceremonies, but you know, I met you through Stone Cold Sober, that you're co-founder of with the lovely Joanna Barnes, and you know, when I first met you, it was hosting retreats, you know, and you can't even really, you can't call them yoga retreats really. I mean, you do yoga on the retreats, but they're not. They're transformational retreats. They are, I'm going to stick a rocket up your ass and get you from, and we've seen it, you know, with people that have come along, get you from the darkest place you're in to loving life, you know. And I've been honored and
in 4 days.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been like privileged enough to go on several, and every single time I'm up leveled, and every single time I'm meeting new people. You know, like I met you in the March, and like we were like I was up and down to Manchester doing cacao ceremonies like in your living room, like, you know, it was such a welcoming environment and so open, and I learned so much. So, you know, what's it been like for you? Because like it's evolved, and we'll get on to what it's evolved into a couple of that, you know, culminated a couple of weeks ago. But like, what was that like for you? Like, you know, stepping into that,
into what, like
into the Stone Cold Sober environment, you know, into this.
well, it was basic, you know, when we started Stone Cold Sober, that was when I was still like, oh, what am I doing? I was kind of looking for something that's like, boom, this is my thing, because I always knew there was something massive for me, like gonna happen. Like that's why I think I wanted to be an actor. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a superstar. Do you know what I mean? And it was always like, there's something big. There's something big for me, but there's something big for everybody. But I just had that feeling, you know. And you know, did this yoga rave thing, and I was like, you know, room full of 90 people, just like buzzing. The energy was insane, and I was like, I'm fucking really good at this. Do you know what I mean? Like, not from an ego place, just going, I'm good at this, and I only know one other teacher that I've ever met that could do what I do in that space. And I was like, this is going to be massive. And then I kind of the girl that I was doing with, the relationship broke down. And then I was like, okay, I've got this thing that I think could go all over the country, be massive, be in like, you know, venues for like a couple of hundred people, and we can go touring. And then I was like, oh, but I can't. There's no way I can do it on my own because I'm not a good. Organizing's not my thing. Like, I can do it a little bit, but I don't enjoy it. It's like I need somebody who's going to help me. And then I was mates with Joanna already, and I just told her about this thing, and I wasn't ringing her to ask her to do it with me because she was working, she was busy. And I was just wondering who the fuck could do it with, and she was like, "I'll help you," you know. And actually, when she first come in my first yoga class, and when I first met her, I looked at her and I was like, "It's like, have I had sex with her?" Because do you know what I mean? I'm like, have I had sex with her years ago or something? Like, I know her or something. There's some knowing there, which is being, 3D naive. It's like, I must have had sex with her because she's attractive. But no, we'd never met before. But she said, as soon as she met me, she felt like there was something that she was going to help me with, or like we were going to do together, or she was going to support and lift me up and be foundations for. And yeah, she said she'd help me. And then obviously you get this yoga rave, you do the first one together, it's super successful, and you go, boom, right, booking venues. COVID, boom. And it was like, and most people are Liam, that thing you was going to do was going to be massive. And I was like, it's all good. Like the serenity prayer, I've got the serenity prayer. Why the fuck I'm going to like worry about shit that's not in my control? Do you know what I mean? It was like, serenity prayer. Let's do yoga raves. I was doing yoga raves every Sunday with my brother on Facebook. I was doing 2 banger dance parties, obviously all over the country because I wasn't locked down. The only people who were locked down are people who were locked themselves down. Nobody has a master. Bro, can we just pause this a second? Not pause it, but I need to go and plug in and change venue.
Yeah.
Because I'm on 15%.
Right, back after a little wee break and power supply
break.
in. So yeah, you were talking about how Stone Cold Sober started. You was doing 2 banger dance parties. You was putting out these yoga raves on social media and being all around the country and then it's kind of getting into how that evolved into the retreats that are now like epic.
Yeah, and I think from doing that 2 banger, like I think I did 80 2 banger dance parties in a row, 80 days at 6 p.m. And people would be like, "Oh, love, I was connecting with people from all over the country, people from doing the yoga raves all over the country." So actually, everything was mega because it just expanded our reach, really. I've met people in weird places going, I used to do your 2 banger dance party in lockdown, or that woman we met at the thing. She's like,
we met someone at a spiritual fair in like Portsmouth, like so the other, down near me, and it's like, you literally got me through lockdown.
Yeah. Tons of people would say it, and it was just like, and I'd be all over the place, and I'd go, no, I'd pretend I was getting green screen. Just guys, this is green screen. We've got the team in now as we've expanded and got bigger, and actually some people believe that I had a team, graphics team, like green screen in my house and putting lakes there. Do you know what I mean? And I was in my little shorts dancing on rocks. It was just like, I was just everywhere. It was mint, and I think it did inspire some other people to just like go, fuck it, man. The roads are empty. Let's get out. Let's go. There's no one holding you back. There was no roadblocks like people thought there was.
Yeah.
It's nothing to get in trouble about. It's like just, and that's the thing that I try and teach people is like, you're a free, sovereign, divine being. You've got nobody who can tell you anything what to do. As long as you're not hurting anybody,
that's it.
Do what you want to do what you need to do. And so that just spiraled, and then obviously we did some illegal, not illegal retreats, and just set up a retreat business in the lockdown. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Which is where I met you, and even that, like I look at that and it's how divine that was, and how everything was trying to almost stop me from getting there, but I knew I had to be there.
Yeah, man.
I turned up 2 hours late, and it changed my life. From that moment, my life's never been the same.
Yeah, and that's what I say to people about, it's like sometimes you need to put an extra bit of effort in. It's like at the solstice when we got up to do the thing, some people didn't get up, and it's like maybe you should have got up, Maybe sometimes you've got to go push that little edge, go that little bit further than because I didn't want to get up.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get up. Why would I want to get up?
Yeah.
But I know that I need to do it, and that the benefits, I will reap the benefits and the rewards from pushing myself that little bit further. And we did, with that first retreat, it was like we questioned it. It was, we were getting challenged, we were getting tested all the time, but we cracked on. And actually, me putting events on through the retreats around Manchester, putting yoga raves on, that councils are coming at me, people are coming at me, police sirens are going outside, just like holding the space, going, right, we're gonna get busted, like, is there gonna be like a massive police presence come in here? But actually what we were doing, and people who would come to our events, it then inspired them to go, actually, why can I not still put an event on? Why can I not still see people in person? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there someone stopping me? And people assumed that there was before, we would, there was other people doing stuff as well, but I know that what we did inspire a hell of a lot of people.
And like you said, you weren't harming anyone, right?
No, we were trying to. I've been trying to kill my neighbours for 2.5 years, just like they're really old, really sick, but I've not managed to kill them. And I've been all over the world and all over the country, interacting, hugging millions of people, and I've not killed them. So, must be a massive deadly virus going around.
And so the solstice, I mean, I was so honoured and so privileged to be a part of the first ever Stone Cold Sober Festival that we held, or you guys orchestrated from what was it, from the 7th, was it 18th to the 21st of June, and I've witnessed, that was just immense, witnessing that from beginning to end, from that moment of, I remember, I think it was Holistic Festival, or one of the festivals that got cancelled, and you just went, I'm so fed up with these festivals getting cancelled. That's it, Joanna, we're doing our own, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so talk us through like what you went through with that, because I mean, that was, for anyone who wasn't there, you need to be at the next one. It was insane. The what you guys pulled off in under a year.
6 months, yeah, 6 months.
To get that going was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was. It's like when you're talking about it, then it give me tingles, actually, because it was something like next level special. It was a start. It was a seeding of something spectacular, and everyone felt it. And it wasn't. There was no way with, I had projections and dreams for how I wanted to be, but it couldn't have gone any better. And it was actually not that it couldn't have gone. It could have gone loads better. There was things behind the scenes that were going on that could have been a lot smoother. But what created, and the energy that happened, and just the magnitude of happiness and joy on that Monday, after we'd done 2 days of having people in our presence and in our energetic bubble, was just like, wow. It was like, it was what you want to be around and want to live within, that energy, that vibe, that community spirit, that unity consciousness, that Christ consciousness, whatever it is. That's what I pull through, is the Christ consciousness. And it's everyone was in bliss, man. Everyone was in Anandamaya, like the bliss body. And it was just like, I was crying that whole day, just like emotionally, just got, the first couple of days I was just like going, fuck, we've put a festival on, man. Jesus, it's actually feels like a festival.
Yeah. And it was that what you talked about, that energy, that vibration was almost tangible. You could feel it. You could feel it in the air. It was like, wow, and for those of you who weren't there, talk about what was there. What
everything that we're about as a I guess we're a wellness business, aren't we? Well, we're wellness, but we're like a fierce life transformers. We are what yoga is.
Yeah.
Yoga is a path to self-realization and enlightenment, and we're pushing people towards the best version of themselves, towards being happy, being in bliss, having a good time all the time. And obviously what we do in the retreats, it was like that on a larger scale with all the people that we'd met along the way. Yoga teachers, breath workers, you know, DJs, man. Electronic music's super important to me because that's what I kind of grew up with and I was around. And it's like frees people up, ecstatic dancing, psychic workshops, healers, you know, massage therapists. Having Di there was amazing. Like a dear friend of mine who's in her 70s, and you know, she was doing Thai yoga massage, getting that kind of like Alda vibe. And just that it was just open to everybody, do you know what I mean? But everybody was doing the practices. The American journalist that came and their daughter who was like an alien, it was like you know, I've been working through some of my shadow stuff recently, and I just like,
she's 10 by the way, for anyone who's watching, she's 10.
I was like, I'm just learning how to drink from a cup at 10, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, everything, man. The cold water therapy, the cacao ceremonies, the cacao tents, everything you brought, everything. I think what was beautiful as well was seeing you, seeing Paul, seeing Morgan, seeing Shakti, and seeing a lot of the people who have kind of been students of mine doing the shit, man. Yeah. Seeing Paulina wasn't doing anything before she like started coming to the cacao ceremonies, and like just the amount of people that we've transformed. And well, we've not transformed them, we've just removed the shit that was preventing them seeing how magnificent they were and being able to have the confidence to go and do what they're supposed to be doing. That's what I'm all about. It's like action.
And it was everything, even the lead up to it was everything that you're about, you know. From my perspective, what I went through, you know, I was in a place not too long before that where I was doubting myself, and you know, I remember calling you up and being like, Liam, I'm not in a good place, I don't know if I can do this. And you know, the support that you gave me, it's like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, even if like 20 minutes beforehand you know, you decide you can't do it, that's absolutely fine. But you know, but the impact, what that allowed me to, that allowed me to relax, that allowed me to step into it. And you know, the whole experience allowed me to step into who I truly am. You know, like it was the first time I've ever done a galactic cacao ceremony, which is like, was me stepping out for me, that was me stepping out of the shadows and being like, no, I can channel light language, you know, and actually standing up and expanding into that truth of, you know, and expanding through that, what people might think about me, and going, yeah, I channel, you know, interdimensional, intergalactic languages, and I can do that. And having that platform and having that freedom to be able to do that was insane, you know. And now, you know, that's now me realizing and having these moments drop in, with that's what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. But that environment allowed me to do that, and also, you know, holding space with you and Leo with the cold water therapy, and that was immense. Like that, we just literally on the moment went, yeah, let's go and do this, and it's that empowerment, you know, just to be able to do it.
Yeah, and that's you know, that's who I need to be working with, and that's you know, that's how a lot of people should be working. It's like, you don't need to think about it. You've got the skills. Let's crack on. It's like, you know, you didn't once go, I'm not sure if I can do that, and Leo didn't once go, it's like, boom, do that, I'll do this. It's like, well, it's like, it'll be fine. Like, it's all good. Like, let's just go smash it. Absolutely, one of the highlights for so many people for the weekend. You know what I mean? Same with your galactic cacao ceremony. And it was just like, there was nobody coming out of anything going, that was a bit shit. Everyone was going, that was amazing. You know, there was loads of different people had different highlights. But it was just so much, you know. Kate Lambert, man, another level. The pussy power workshops, the women workshops that she did. Sam Phoenix's thing on urine therapy, you know, and it's like, I think for me, it's like you and Paul doing what you did at the festival, Paul upgrading again, seeing more of his magnificence, because I'm going to turn him into like a Kurtan rock star. He already is. It's just, you know, gradually getting towards it. And Tama rocking up and making us all go, ooh, we're nowhere near. Do you know what I mean? Which is great. We're nowhere near. Like, but then also, you know, for me, in this arena, in this world, Craig Seaton and Leo should be doing this for the most amount of people that's possible. And within 5 years, I want to be able to give them a platform that is at their ultimate peak of like 2,000 people in a room. Do you know what I mean? It's like, go on, boys, go do it. They're made for it, man. They wouldn't falter. They're ready.
And I experienced their workshops, and they like blew me away. You know, I experienced a breathwork session with Craig, straight after your yoga rave, which was straight after me channeling light waves. So I was high as a kite already, and it was the most. I shifted some stuff in that breathwork session, and then like with Leo, you know, I attended his was it the Osho dynamic meditation session. That again was so powerful. You know, I don't know where I was, but when I came round, I was like, I don't remember facing this way. I don't remember turning round. You know, but it was like, wow, so powerful, and there were so many different things. There were so many different things going on, you know, for people to enjoy, to the point where people were like, I just don't know what to go to because there's so much I want to experience.
Yeah, because a few people have said that. Oh, I wish they would have been like more space or more spread out. And I'm like, no, man. Like, a festival is about having to make choices, tough decisions at sometimes where you go, fucking love that artist and I love that artist. Bastards, I've got to choose why are they on at the same time. It's part of, like, for me, it's part of being at a festival. Yeah. And I really wanted to bring that element into it when I was designing the timetable. Do you know what I mean? There were certain things where I didn't have as much on because I wanted us to kind of come together a little bit more. But there was always that I want there to be choice and I want there to be decisions to be made. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, I want people to get their little thing out and circle what they want to go to, what's important. You know what I mean? And then, you know, and people are like, oh, but I wanted to eat and I had to go to this thing. Oh, it's a festival. That's how it is. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I don't want to change that. You know, there's been some feedback that's been really good, and there's been other feedback that's like, no, that's essential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and it culminated in the most beautiful, sunrise ceremony for the solstice. You know, which I again felt honoured and privileged to be a part of, holding that space and drumming throughout that ceremony. And it was like a channeled, like Paulina channeled this setup with these gates for each of the directions, for each of the elements, and people, you know, every single person one by one who got up at 4 a.m. to walk through these gates, to be blessed by the elements, to be blessed by the divine kind of solstice energies, you know, in that space was beautiful. I can't really put words to it, to be honest. I think we've got footage of it coming out, and videos and stuff which people can watch and experience, but you have to have been there. Like, I remember getting to the end of it and I was like, I can't believe I've just been drumming for like 2 hours. And someone said to me, I can't believe you were drumming and you all kept beat for 2 hours. And I was like, just in this trance, in this like, wow. And it was,
it went so quick. Went so quick, but it was so, like you said, it was just something magical to be a part of. And, you know, everybody who was at that moment, everybody that was at the festival, it's like always going to be able to say I was at the first ever Stone Cold Sober Festival. And actually, for so many people, it's going to be a catapult and a rocket towards, it's like, you know, I've shifted so much since then. And, you know what I'm like, it's like, you know, be spiritual, you know, be healthy, you know, be whatever, but also be fucking rich, be abundant, you know, be abundant. Your duty as a human being is to be financially good, so you can look after yourself, so you can look after your family. And the more financially good you are, the more people you can look after, the more you can do. Do you know what I mean? It's like the old school way in like the Aboriginals, what we were talking about. And it's like, if you was rich and if you did well, you had more wives to support, you had more of a family, you had a bigger family, you know, and it still happens in certain places in the world. And for me, it's like, what we bring is we go, that's fucking important, because some people won't talk about that. It's like, oh, it's dirty to talk about money. It's like, no, let's smash the finances as well. It's like, I know I would have got quicker on my spiritual path if I would have had a load of money, because I would have been able to do loads of courses, but that wasn't my path. So it's like this path of suffering. But now what I'm saying to people is actually get your finances sorted out as well. I didn't let go of everything. I was still doing tree surgery to support my journey. It was only a couple of years ago that I let go of all that. But you know, that's what's important, and that's what I'm getting more confident at speaking about. It's like, be abundant, financially abundant, get that shit sorted, because you've got to dip in and out of the 3D. And to be successful in the 3D, you've got to have this, you know, we're not born in a place where we can just go and be an aesthetic and live in a cave and go out into society and be given food, which you can in India, because people will give you food if you're dressed in the cloths and, you know, that's what you are. It ain't going to happen here. The best thing you can do to propel you on your spiritual journey is become abundant financially as well at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
And it's balanced, isn't it? It's coming from a balanced perspective of being not from lack, but not from greed. You know, from
Yeah.
it's that balance of like those two, lack and greed, are very 3D experiences. You know, and they're what they're what propel us on this journey, and I've got experience in that as well, from both elements. But it's finding that balance of, you know, and the intention of, okay, I want to be financially abundant in order. I like the term affluent, because affluent actually, you know, it means a flow. It's that flow of money. It's that fluidity of money, and which is just energy flowing in and flowing out. You know?
Yeah, totally. Because greed is where you just keep it and kind of hoard it, and it's like it's only for you and maybe your immediate family. But actually, what we want to do abundantly is to be able to just give this to everyone. Do you know what I mean? This thing, because, like, you know, you were in a couple of the WhatsApp groups. How many people you came home some money? It's like we plant that seed of abundance within the festival. We do the sacred ceremonies. Everyone comes back and's like, I feel amazing. I feel great, and they've got checks coming through the door. It's like something like out of the fucking Secret, bro. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like,
there's like 8 or 9 people. Like, yeah, cool.
So it's like, that's possible. It just is a shift in mindset to open up to what is there, what's available. You know, like I always say, there's no ceiling on your abundance, on how successful you can be in any area of your life. There's no ceiling on it. You know, there's no ceiling on what we can do in this spiritual world, in this community, nutrition wise, body wise. There's no limit on it. You know, you just can get healthier and healthier and healthier, or, you know, more and more into your practices. And yeah, it's just be abundant in every single way, and just remember that, you know, you being abundant is not taking anyone else's abundance away. It's limitless. It's no. If I become a multi-billionaire, I'm not taking from anybody, you know, because everybody can be that if they put that energy into it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just kind of, that's a really important teaching that a lot of teachers won't touch upon in the yogic spiritual world. And it's something that I'm like getting more and more confident. It's like, fucking get rich, man.
Yeah, definitely. And so when's the next festival for those who not missed out, but who couldn't make it or didn't know about it? You know, when's the next? What's
Solstice. You know, we've got retreats coming up. We're thinking about doing a little winter soiree, but I'm not sure, because it's a hell of a lot of work to put on a festival, and there's obviously like only 2 of us working, and we've got a couple of people who work with us and for us. But I think just making that more and more magical. I've already got a couple of acts lined up that are just gonna blow people's minds, like seriously blow your mind. And I'm excited about seeing them live. So yeah, it's next year. Summer solstice is going to be when we do it every year. You know, another reason why we did the festival was because I was on a solstice, was because I was sick of going to sacred sites and seeing them being disrespected and not held energetically how they should be being held. So it was important for me to go, do you know what? We don't need a sacred site. We are the sacred site. We are the vessel. We are godly, you know. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could go and do it at a sacred site, but I don't want to see someone just pissing at the side of, you know, Stonehenge and going up on shoulders, drinking Stella, shouting football songs. It's like, it's difficult to hold that energy for, you know, we did it at Castle Rig for an hour, and then I was done, because I was holding this energy, and I went, until we can go there with like 10 big rugby players or something, and just clear everyone out and going, like, guys, we're here to do some work. You're either out of the stones and go and do your fucked up shit, or you're in the stones and you're respecting it and you're not drinking and you can become part of it. And if you've got a dispute, go and see Big Tony over there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm definitely in for the next one. So that's how good it was just insane. And again, like I said, I can't express how privileged and honoured I felt to be a part of that. And I thank you for that. And so yeah, you got a retreat coming up in November. Before we move on to cacao.
Yeah, retreat in I think is it November?
Yeah.
It's in November.
Derby, right? Derbyshire. In
In
Derbyshire.
Derbyshire, yeah, a venue we've not used before, so I'm excited. It looks amazing. Looking forward to it, man. Yeah, and looking forward to the summer. And I'm appearing at quite a few festivals. Obviously got the cacao teacher training next week. Is that right?
Week after next, yeah, 15th to the 18th.
15th to the 18th.
15th to the 18th, which is going to be.
Paulina's running into a healing room. You got a healing, P? I think she's got a healing.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so that in itself is going to be. Like, I'm so looking forward to that. And even for me, I've been hosting ceremonies for a year now, but I'm looking forward to the upgrades, to learning more, to being in that energy, to being in that, just around that. And every time I'm in the ceremony or I'm involved in this stuff, I'm always learning, always open to learning. People have said to me, "Oh, why are you doing that? Like, you already do ceremonies." It's like, yeah, it's not about that. It's about continually learning and upgrading.
Yeah, and it's also getting you in the team as well, because like we obviously do these. I've done, you went on tour with me, and it's just like being part of that full power graduate thing.
Because I was again honoured. I'm so privileged and honoured to be your first ever affiliate, and it's like, how can I get more involved in this? Because I'm, me, I'm fully behind Full Power Cacao, which we'll talk about now. Full Power Cacao is another gift you're giving to this world, and it truly is a gift. And I can see it's gone. It's just been amazing. I've witnessed, not from the beginning, but the ideas and stuff, but from experiencing Matt. Try this cacao, like in your kitchen. I've got 5 different cacaos. Try these. Which one do you like? And I'm like, oh, that one tastes a bit like socks. And and then it was like witnessing that was beautiful as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's remembering those things and being grateful for those experiences, and I'm being grateful for the cacao for choosing us, actually, because like I was adamant on getting Guatemalan cacao, because that's where my lineage is from. That's where Keith is from. Obviously, it's kind of like some of the best cacao I'd ever tasted. But this Venezuelan was just kept smacking me in the face, man, and kept winning all the tests that we were doing. And I was kind of unsure of it, and because of the Guatemalan thing. But then it just kept winning and winning and winning. And it was in the end, I just had, again, it was a surrender thing. It was like, actually, what do I want? Stick with my need for it to be something, or go with what is screaming at me to be full power cacao. You know what I mean? So, and it was a good choice, because daily I get a message on how great the cacao is, how it's the best cacao you've ever tasted, how the energy and the vibration is so good, and how it's changing their lives. And people are getting converted every day, every single day. There's many people getting converted, and the business side of it's just grown from strength to strength. But the most important thing, and the reason why cacao has chosen me to do this, is to drive it into the consciousness of the whole of the UK, so that every time you go out and get a drink, there is a cacao there, hopefully a full power cacao. But actually, by us taking it to that other level, and that's not for me being greedy, that's because I know it's shifting and changing people. Again, it's a facilitator, it's a positive transformation. But to be able to get that everywhere, and and people be saying, have you had a full power? I want people to say, have you had a full power? But then also it's this massive awareness of cacao, which is gonna enhance every other cacao distributor's sales at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So someone might smash it out of the park better than me, and that's great. Fucking hope so. But it's that thing of, it's to transform people. Do you know what I mean? And even if cacao, full power cacao becomes a multi-billion pound or multi-million pound, whatever, £1 million, it's for me to go and transform more people.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That again, that abundance allows me to do more and to have have better everything, better skills. Me to go and book a course with somebody, do you know what I mean? And go, boom, I'm upgrading now.
And is that, for me, it's the intention behind it. And one of my teachers in my journey said that the definition of intention is the reason I do a thing is more important than the thing I actually do.
Yeah.
So it's carrying that intention in it, and I see that and I feel that, and I drink cacao on a regular basis, much lower dose, but also serving it in ceremonies, and I serve full Power Cacao in my ceremonies, and it changes people. Like honestly, like the shifts are absolutely amazing, and I feel honoured and to be a part of this. It's not even a business; it's an entity. It's a not in a bad way. It's an energy in its own in itself. It's beautiful.
Mm.
It's like a
And it's
being. It's a being. It's
yeah, totally. But it's kind of it's become its own. It's become its own beast with the with the full power, with the wording of it, with the energy behind those words, with the fact that I've been saying that for probably 8 years. I've been saying full power, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was like when it became to be, what's your cacao gonna be called? I was like, full power.
And I remember you saying to me, Matt, is that the right name for it? And I'm like, literally, you don't stop saying that, so it's got to be that.
Exactly. Yeah. And then just to see that, that it's almost like a team that's been created over the last year since the first cacao training. Really, it's almost like a little movement and a little family, and
yeah,
it just keeps expanding and growing. And obviously, the more people I train, the more cacao ceremonies they go and do, the more people that connect with cacao, and it's just it's just a spider's web. It's just poof.
Yeah, and it's magical. It is truly a gift and a gem.
Yeah, and like the spirit of Tikiara says, when she was created, it was like she was always there. She was just waiting to be revealed. And full power cacao has always been there. It's just been waiting for us to step into the right energy where we can do it justice. Do you know what I mean? And make it into a beast. We want to be like a spiritual Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like with good values, with everybody getting treated right along the way. As much as possible. I'm gonna make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I know I've made mistakes.
But they're not mistakes, they're just lessons, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Good mistakes, because I learn from them. Yeah. It's only a mistake when you don't learn from it, I would imagine. Do you know what I mean? But things that I've gone, oh, this has turned up, or I bought this and I've gone, I want that to be better. Do you know what I mean? I want that to be more authentic. I want that to have better energy behind it. And some of my mistakes have actually turned out brilliant. I'm like, I bought fucking thousands of these vegware bags and they don't fit what I've got to put in them. And then I've gone, does that fit in? Oh, that fits in. I can use it for that. Brilliant.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of all the people that I know work with you, who have been to your ceremonies, who have been to any of your ecstatic dances, your yoga sessions, for everyone that you've touched, every life that you've touched so far, because it truly has been magnificent. I've seen it expand people, transform people. Firsthand how it's changed people's lives. You touched on Paul. You mentioned Paul Mackinson earlier. Like the magnificence and change in him has been, and he's still happening. Is just magical in a year. And like you said, I said to him, sat at this festival when Antama was on stage. I said to him, "That's going to be you," and he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "No, it will be." And that's from someone who was nowhere near that a year ago, and it's been magical. But yeah.
So that's what's magical about. Yes, that just one last thing. That's what's magical about witnessing quite a few of the graduates, quite a few of the people that were around, even though Jake and what he does with Illuminate, and it's like, but especially you and Paul, it's like, fuck man, like 2 years, you've come here in 2 years. Even Josh on the retreat, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so far behind you guys." I was like, "Bro, you're 27. Yeah. You're at this festival." Yeah. I was fucking sniffing ketamine off a key when I was 27 in a club. I went, you're far ahead of me, bro.
Yeah,
Far ahead of me. And like, that's what's great about seeing you guys catapult so quickly into, you know, magnificence, holding space, being, you know, being able to, and that's what, through my suffering, I can catapult people there quicker, which is amazing. You know what I mean? So hopefully people don't have to go through that 8 years of like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, boom, let's smash it. So thank you for you stepping up, doing this podcast, doing everything that you're doing, and you know, going through everything that you're going through, and ups and downs, and you know, it's magnificent to witness. And yeah, thanks for being me mate as well, bro.
yeah, and it's been magical, and it still is magical. And you know, I'm coming to join you, like I said, in a couple of weeks to upgrade again for the cacao training. So for anyone listening, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the first ever Bear Chats with Liam Browne. Um, for anyone who is interested in learning more about Liam and wants to read his book, I will drop the links below on whatever platform we're on, where it might be above or below, but I'll drop the link in. Yeah, for someone that's listened to that, if anyone feels drawn to one of his retreats, do it. It's so transformational. Again, I will drop the links for Stone Cold Sober. I believe it's www.stonecoldsober.com.
Events.com.
Events.com. Anyone interested in cacao wants to know more, drop Liam a message, drop me a message. We can fill you in, or go to www.fullpowercacao.com. And yeah, we get involved, and it is a heart opening medicine. It will change your life. So yes, thank you, Liam Browne, for joining us. It's been immense. And yeah, anyone's got any questions, drop me some questions. If there's enough of them, we'll do a Q&A of some kind. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here, for stepping up, and yeah, it's been immense. So
Cheers, brother.
awesome.
Thanks
And
for
I'll
making the
see
space.
everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see everyone on the next episode of Bear Chats with the Humble Bear. See you soon. Peace out.